What's going on, guys? TTL here. Today I'm going to be going over my top 5 MLB picks for today. Today is July 26th, 2023. Skipped yesterday just because I woke up really late, but should have time to get all of these bets in. There's like 7 hours before these bets start. Thank you guys so much for all the support in the past few videos. Make sure to give this one a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. And yeah, if you're new to PrizePicks, Underdog, or Sleeper, just use code TTL. You can see in the bottom left corner right now. Sign up, use code TTL. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100, and you'll get 2 free weeks of VIP. You can also feel free to sign up to the Patreon. I give out complete PrizePicks, Underdog, and Sleeper slips for every sport. I do sportsbook bets for every sport, and I do VIP only chats, live streams, giveaways, that kind of stuff. So go show your support if you're interested. And we have been killing it. We've had 10 profitable months to 1 losing month so far. Hopefully August will be a great month as well, so we can officially be 11-1 for our first year. But let's get into it. I'm going to be using Outlier.bet for my research during this stream, as well as TeamRankings.com to get strikeouts per game on the season for each team. Outlier.bet, you can get a week for free if you use my link in the comments, but it's kind of like props.cash mixed with StatMuse. So I mean, it's just, you get every stat basically. It's crazy. But I'm going to list it to strikeouts only so I can see what's listed on PrizePicks. I can see the implied probability of something hitting, last 5, last 10, last 20, the head-to-head, all that good stuff. And yeah, let's just get into each pick. One of my top picks of the day is actually Joe Ryan over 7 strikeouts. This is at 7.5 on Sleeper currently. It's at 7 on Underdog and on PrizePicks. And I absolutely love this pick today. It's versus the Mariners, who are 29th of 30th in the league for most strikeouts per game. They're averaging almost double digits, right at 9.8 strikeouts per game during the season. They're averaging over 10 strikeouts per game over their last 3, and they had 11 last game. So this team strikes out a ton. And Joe Ryan is typically a good pitcher as well. We'll take a look at him over here on Outlier.bet, and we can go to alt lines and click over 6.5, because all we need is just 7 or more to push or cash. And we can see that over the last 5, he's pushed or went over in 4 of the last 5. Last 10, he's went over or pushed in 6 of the last 10. It's around minus 175 odds on sports books to at least push. And during the year, he's 12-20 of at least pushing. So, and a lot of these are against really good teams as well. We can see he got 6 versus the Royals. That's okay. 3 versus Boston. Boston's a good team at not striking out. 4 versus Cleveland. Cleveland is ranked first in the league for least strikeouts right now. 4 versus Minnesota. That's just a bad game because, oh, I'm sorry, the Giants. I was about to say the Minnesota suck. 4 versus the Giants. They're pretty terrible too, though. That's just unfortunate. 6 versus Houston. It's another decent team. They're 4th. 4 versus Cleveland again. 4 versus Toronto. Like, all of these teams are top 10. 5 versus Atlanta. They're 10. So, I mean, all of these losses, all of these unders, except for like 1 or 2, are just really good teams, like top 5, top 6 in the rankings for least strikeouts per game. Meanwhile, Seattle, as I went over, they're 29th of 30th. They suck, and I just highly expect him to go over. The only data we have of him versus the Mariners is from last year, so we don't really have any updated stats right here. One of the games they even lost 0-5, so it's like you can't really count that. You don't really know what's going on in that game. But I like this prop a lot. I have this in a lot of plays today, and I'm locking it in with confidence. I also really love pairing that with Carlos Rodon under 6.5 strikeouts versus the Mets. So Rodon has just been terrible this year. He's played 3 games this year. He got 2 strikeouts versus the Cubs, 6 versus the Rockies, and 3 versus the Angels. And we can actually take a look on here as well. And if we take a look at the under 6.5, it's around minus 110 odds. And we can see on the year, so you can't really look at last 5, last 10, last 20, etc. because this is all last year. We can only use updated stats from this year, in which case he has stayed under in all 3 games. The Mets have been looking really good this year as well. And we can see that the Mets typically, they don't have much data versus Rodon. There's 2 with there's Lindor, for example, has 16 at-bats and 0 Ks. So that's awesome. But other than that, it's like none of these really have many at-bats, 2 at-bats, 4 at-bats most. So it's like too early to tell how they're going to do versus him. But according to this year, he has not been performing well. So hopefully he can continue to not get strikeouts and to just give up runs. What we would really love to see is him give up 3 or 4 runs early on and just get hit and just get taken out of the game. But even if not, I do feel comfortable with this play. I like it a lot. Next, I really love Marcus Stroman over 4.5 strikeouts. Marcus Stroman has been doing really well lately. He's against the White Sox, who are middle of the pack, 18th of 30th, averaging just around 9 strikeouts per game on the season. The over 4.5 is around minus 130 odds. Over his last 10, he's hitting 7 of his last 10. 2023, he's hitting 67% of his games, 14 of 21. And again, there's just not much data on a lot of these batters versus Stroman from the White Sox. But 4.5 strikeouts when they're averaging 9. I like this a lot. Marcus Stroman's been a great pitcher this year, so I'm not going to have any doubts. I'm going to lock it in with confidence. I also really love Bryce Miller, who is on the other team for the Minnesota-Seattle game. And Minnesota are the worst team in the league for strikeout-wise. 30 of 30th, averaging over 10 strikeouts per game, averaging 15 strikeouts over their last 3. They had 18 strikeouts in their last game. So we'll scroll on Outlier.bet till we see Bryce Miller over 5.5. We're actually at 5, so we're gonna go over 5.5. Over 4.5. So the at least push. And on 2023, he's pushed or went over in 7 of 13 games. He's averaging over 8.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. And again, he's versus Minnesota, who are the worst team in the league. He has no stats at all versus this team, but they've been playing terrible this year. A lot of these games he stayed over versus really good teams. So I don't really have any issues with this. You can't really just glance at stats and say, oh, this is a good bet or a bad bet. So, you'll see he got 4 versus Atlanta. They got 6 runs on him. He got 3 versus New York. They got 10 runs on him. He got 2 versus Texas. They got 12 runs on him. So all of these are just they're getting blew out. He's just getting taken out. And then, he got 4 versus Baltimore. They had 6 runs. And then he got 3 versus Detroit. That's the only one that's he actually just went under. They got 0 runs. He only got 3 strikeouts. But a lot of those teams are really good too. Yankees are 8th. Atlanta's 10th. Baltimore is 11th. So it's a lot of these teams are just really good teams. And he just wasn't striking them out. And that's pretty much for the whole year. It's just only those really good teams that he has went under against. He got 6 versus the White Sox, 6 versus Miami, 6 versus Tampa Bay, Toronto, Oakland, 5 versus Houston. So I have no worries with him taking his over here. I think he at least pushes, but I could see him going for 8 or 9 strikeouts this game versus a weak Twins team that just strike out a ton. My last play of the day, I have 2 plays that I can choose from. I don't know really which one I'm going to give you guys. So he's burned me in the past, but I'm going to just use him as just a flex play, and it's Kyle Bradish. So if he's not taken off the board. Okay, there he is. Versus the Phillies. The Phillies strike out a ton. He's at 5.5 strikeouts right now. The Phillies are 24th of 30th, averaging over 9 strikeouts per game. His line's 5.5. A lot of the odds, you can see it's like minus 110, minus 115 on these different sports books. On 2023, he's went over in 39%, 7 of 18. It's rough. That's the one thing that just makes me rough. Recently though, he's been doing really well. So we take a look at his last 5, 3 out of 5, 2 of them were just 0.5 misses. Last 10, 5 out of 10. So it's like he's been doing well recently. It's just those games beforehand, like he just couldn't cash. He does have a good matchup today. So we can look at his last matchups where he stayed under. That's Texas, Boston, Detroit, Atlanta, Angels, the Yankees, Texas again, the Giants, Toronto, Tampa Bay, New York. So it's like all of these teams are just really good teams. Those are the teams that I was just talking about that just do not strike out much. I personally lean this over, but again, for Kyle Bradish over 5.5, this is strictly a flex play. I would not play a lot of money on it. It's just a lean for me, just to get to the 5-pick mark. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. I really do appreciate all the support yet again. Thank you guys so much for all that support. And let's go 5 for 5 today. Let's cash the 10x, and I'll see you guys in the Discord.